In this video, we're going to be taking a look at official SteamOS running on one of my favorite mini gaming PCs. This is the Forum Elite Mini HX77G, and they did release a few different variants. You can even go up to the HX90G. But given the size and form factor here, these things do pack a punch because after all, they've got a dedicated GPU. It's actually an AMD Radeon 6600M with 8 gigs of VRAM, and the CPU is really going to depend on the model you pick up. Like I mentioned, they do have a couple different variants, but with this, we've got a 7735HS, so we've got 8 cores, 16 threads, nice little Ryzen CPU here that puts down more than enough performance when it's paired up with that Radeon GPU. These machines can sit vertically, as you can see, but they've also got some rubber feet on the bottom, so you can set them horizontally, so you can put it inside of an entertainment cabinet if you wanted to. Personally, I just like having it sitting up on the stand. That's how I've always kind of run these little machines. But like I mentioned at the beginning, we've got official SteamOS installed here. It's not Bazite or a third-party distro based on SteamOS. This is directly from Valve. And to give you an idea on how I installed this on the machine, I used the Steam Deck recovery image, and actually all the information you need to know is over on Steam's official website. I'll leave a link in the description. I downloaded the image, and basically instead of doing a factory reset, I re-imaged. Once you flash this to a USB drive with an application like Rufus, you'll just boot up the PC from that USB drive, and once you're into the recovery system, you're going to re-image the system. It's going to wipe that drive, and you do need to turn secure boot off in the BIOS from whatever PC that you want to install this on. But I mean, it's really easy to do. And on this machine, there was nothing extra that I needed to do. It just installed, booted up. You can update the image just like you would on the Steam Deck, and you should be ready to go. I mean, this is pretty cool. And I noticed that with the latest beta, I've got full TDP control on this mini PC from within SteamOS. Getting in here a bit closer so I can give you a look at a few things, and so far this machine's been working great. I have not installed any third-party scripts or applications or anything like that, and usually, when we install SteamOS, we'll install Decky. But this was really interesting, and real quick, let me show you from our settings. I'll show you that we're using real SteamOS here, and it's not even 3.8. We're on SteamOS Hollow. This is the recovery image directly from the website. Leave a link in the description. 3.624, and from here, you can see stable, Steam Deck beta, and I could leave it at stable if I wanted to. I just went over to beta. Moving down, we've got that AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS, 8 cores, 16 threads, 32 gigs of DDR5, and of course, we've got that RX 660M here built into this mini PC with 8 gigs of VRAM. Going in here, we've got our overlay, so we can set this up basically any way we want. But I thought this was cool because from our TDP limit, you can see we can actually do up to 100 watts. And with this system, it's not going to go up to 100 watts. You can set it from the BIOS, but usually with the machine and SteamOS installed, we need a third-party application to achieve this TDP limit here. But yeah, from here, it will allow us to go up. And right now, I think from the BIOS, this kind of goes up to around 64 watts. We could make it go much higher by changing the TDP in there, but it's pretty cool that we've got the adjustment directly from SteamOS. And I have not even checked manual GPU clock. Okay, only up to 16. And, oh, it actually just resets itself. Yeah, it just resets itself. But TDP control is here, really cool. And I mean, everything else, if you're connected to an HDR display, VRR, you've got system-wide FSR. But with the AMD Radeon RX 6600M, I've always found that it does work pretty decent at 1440 high with a little bit of FSR or 1080 Ultra. And for all of the stuff that we're going to be testing, we're going to shoot for 1440p on it. So with that out of the way, let's get into some game testing. First one we have here is The Witcher 3 1440p high with FSR set to balance. We're not using dynamic resolution scale, and we could get much higher out of it. I mean, we could bring this up to 120 if we use dynamic, but it's going to bring that resolution so far down. I figured balanced here is a good mix at 1440p, and it looks amazing. By the end of this run, I had an average of 68 FPS, and really when I'm in here with the city, you can see it kind of dip down a bit, and that's really what lowered that average. If we were just kind of out exploring, it'd be way up from there. The next game we have here is Spider-Man 2 1440p high with frame gen on. This is the only game that I turned frame gen on with, And with frame gen off at high settings with FSR set to balanced, it's pretty good, but I did see it dip under 60 every once in a while. 1080, we can max this out very high in basically any game that we're going to be seeing here. 1080 Ultra is going to work out just fine on this 660M with SteamOS, but I wanted to take them up to 1440, and unfortunately I did need frame gen with this one. Next one we have here is Borderlands 3 1440p high 100% resolution scale, and it actually worked out way better than I thought it would. I've been running into issues with this, especially on AMD cards recently in Windows, where it just gives me a ton of stuttering. I mean, even on higher end cards like the 9070 XT. Not sure if it's AMD's driver or not, but here in SteamOS it seems to be functioning properly at 1440 high. (1440p high, FSR set to balanced with no frame generation, and if we enabled frame generation, it actually brings that average up to around 130 FPS, which is pretty crazy. Almost doubling the frame rate with frame gen is pretty impressive here, but yeah, I mean, that's what it's made for. It's really up to you. I mean, if you want to get more out of it, you definitely could use something like that on this machine with the 660M, but I'd say at 1440 high with FSR set to balanced, it still looks great, and we're seeing an average of around 75 FPS. Doom Eternal, always love going back to this. We're at 1440p Ultra Nightmare, and I've got the in-game stats up in the top right-hand corner. No resolution scale here, so we're at 100% true 1440p, over 100 FPS on average, and I knew we'd see some good performance out of this game. Checking out Marvel Rivals, and on this system here with SteamOS installed, I did have to take it down to medium settings at 1440. 1080 Ultra with FSR set to quality will give us around the same frame rate here, but we had to go to medium FSR balanced at 1440. One thing to keep in mind here is it's still in early access, and there is kind of a big RAM issue with this game, and I'm not sure if it's been patched out yet or not, but it doesn't matter. If I go over to Windows or SteamOS, I'm still seeing low performance, even on higher end cards. Here's God of War Ragnarok, 1440 high, FSR balanced with no frame gen. So with this one on iGPUs, I usually need frame gen. We'll have to go down to low settings, but at high, FSR balanced, getting a good frame rate. And for the most part, I mean, we're seeing an average of around 72 FPS. When there's not a lot of characters on screen and you're just doing some exploring, it does jump up into the 90s with these settings here. You can see when there's a lot going on, it's right there in the lower 70s. And the final game I have here is Cyberpunk 2077 1440 high with FSR set to auto, and it does look like we're taking FSR to around balanced. Across the board, when it comes to the 660M and SteamOS, I find that high FSR balanced will get us over that 60 mark. And we're seeing averages over 70 FPS with most stuff, including Cyberpunk 2077 here. I mean, everything that I've thrown at it so far has worked out really well. And again, we did test everything at 1440p. I know that the 660M is not considered a 1440p card, but I'd say, yeah, high with some FSR 1440. If you want to do ultra across the board, 1080 is going to be your sweet spot with this machine. These Forum HX mini PCs have always been some of my favorite small form factor gaming machines. I mean, just given the performance they put out, and they go all the way back to the 5800, I believe, was the first one. So a Ryzen 7 5800 in this, along with the 660M. They did put out quite a few variants, and you actually might be able to find these over on eBay right now. And even if you did go with that 5800 or the 5900, it's a mobile variant, it's still going to perform really well with SteamOS or even Windows. I mean, for a small form factor unit here, we've got a dedicated GPU, 8 cores, 12 threads, not a bad little system. especially if you're looking for something small form factor that you can throw in the living room. I mean, it does have Bluetooth built in, so you could connect several controllers to it and use it as a little couch gaming setup with SteamOS installed. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I figured I'd go back to this with official SteamOS, and yeah, as you saw, it does perform pretty good. If there's anything else you want to see running on this machine, just let me know in the comments below. Like always, thanks for watching.